My name is Madeline Parker. I'm 30 years old, and I never imagined betrayal would come from the very people who raised me. It was a typical Tuesday morning at my tech startup in Austin, Texas, when my phone buzzed with a message that flipped my world upside down. We're vacationing in Miami with your sister's family. We emptied the joint account. Haha. The words from my parents, David and Linda Parker, seared into my mind, their casual cruelty cutting deeper than I could have imagined. I didn't let my fingers tremble as I typed back, "Good luck." Outwardly, I stayed composed, serving coffee to a client with my usual smile. But inside, my thoughts raced. That account wasn't just money, it was my years of savings, the sweat of long nights coding, the sacrifices I'd made to keep our startup alive, all meant for the family home. They believed they had outsmarted me, flying off to Miami in luxury while mocking me from afar. But they had no idea that for months I had been quietly tracking their shady dealings, their whispered plans, their arrogance. I was no longer the naive daughter they assumed they could steamroll. I had a plan, carefully built, and when the time came, they would discover just how far I was willing to go to protect what was mine. 3 months earlier, I'd noticed things weren't adding up. My startup in Austin was thriving, but the family's joint account, meant for the mortgage on our parents' house, was draining faster than it should. At 30, I'd poured thousands into it, late nights coding, pitching to investors, skipping vacations to keep my app alive. My dad kept asking for bigger contributions, claiming the house payments were tight. One evening, while reconciling the account, I spotted a $5,000 charge for a travel agency. I froze. The mortgage wasn't due for weeks, and I hadn't approved any trips. Digging deeper, I found more hotel bookings in Miami, first-class flights, and a luxury car rental, all linked to a card in my mom's name. She'd never mentioned a vacation, and neither had my sister, Holly Parker. I started saving screenshots of every transaction, every withdrawal. Then I got a tip from a cousin who'd overheard my mom boasting about a big family getaway. I even checked an old family group chat I'd muted years ago. There it was, messages between my mom and sister planning a Miami trip, laughing about how they'd handle the funds. Holly had written, "Don't worry, she won't notice till it's gone." I saved that, too, jaw tight. The next day, I opened a separate account at a different bank, transferring my startup's profits there. I called a lawyer, Jessica Lane, who specialized in financial disputes. "Can you protect my assets if my family's misusing our joint account?" I asked. "Absolutely. Start documenting everything," she replied, her tone confident. Over coffee at my office, I laid out the evidence, screenshots, bank statements, texts. Jessica nodded, jotting notes. "This is solid," she said. "We can file for a freeze on the account if they try anything else." I felt a spark of control I hadn't felt in months. Back at my apartment, I kept digging. Another transaction appeared, a deposit for a Miami beachfront condo rental. My mom had written, "This will be the trip of a lifetime, just us and your sister's family." No mention of me, no thanks for the money I funneled into their account. I printed the chat logs, my hand steady now. When my dad called the next afternoon, smug as ever, asking for $2,000 more, I played along, saying I'd check my funds, but I was done being their ATM. My lawyer had drafted a certified letter demanding transparency on the account. That evening, I logged into the bank's website, found the credit card tied to the joint account, and reported it as compromised, cutting off their access to flights and hotels. By noon the next day, my parents were furious, stranded at the airport. I stayed silent, letting the panic sink in. I spent the afternoon organizing evidence, printing bank statements and texts, every Miami booking matched with screenshots from Holly's social media. Jessica prepared a formal complaint detailing every unauthorized withdrawal. Their Miami dream was unraveling, and I was ready. The hearing in Austin County Court came days later. My lawyer presented the timeline of withdrawals, screenshots of my mom planning the Miami trip, and Holly's posts flaunting the vacation. The judge reviewed every piece of evidence carefully. Thomas and Linda Parker tried to defend themselves, claiming the funds were for family use, and Holly accused me of jealousy. The judge was unimpressed. Mr. and Mrs. Parker, the evidence suggests otherwise. All assets linked to this account are frozen effective immediately pending a full financial audit. You are ordered to repay the withdrawn funds, $7,000, to Madeline Parker within 24 hours or face further penalties. I left the courthouse feeling a quiet calm. The community had rallied behind me, and the court had confirmed the truth. Their world was shrinking while mine expanded. My startup thrived, signing new clients and expanding across Texas. Holly's social media fell silent, her attempts to shift blame backfiring. 2 years later, I stood at the launch of my company's newest app at the Austin Convention Center, investors, clients, and reporters buzzing around me. I hadn't spoken to my parents or Holly since the ruling. The choice to protect myself had been hard, but necessary. Their betrayal had become my fuel. Looking back, I learned to trust my instincts, safeguard my assets, and stand strong, even when those closest to you fail you. Their chaos became my strength, and that was my victory. What would you do if the people who raised you betrayed your trust and tried to take what was yours? Moral lesson: always protect your hard-earned resources and never let anyone take advantage of your kindness.